Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Trinidad and Tobago's police service on full alert for Carnival season. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Friday, 10th February 2023. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. All hands are on deck when it comes to the safety of all during the Carnival season. At a Joint Select Committee meeting on Wednesday, senior officers of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service gave the assurance that they will be out in their numbers to protect the population.
Senior Superintendent of the Northern Division of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, Kerwin Francis, told the Joint Select Committee on National Security one way to increase the number of officers on duty is by calling those on leave back out to work.
We have also called out police officers who are on leave. They have been served with notices and they have been mandated and instructed to report for duty at the police headquarters this week, and then they will be dispatched to augment the strength not only in Port of Spain Division but across the other 9 police divisions.
As it pertains to crime outside of the Carnival season, Acting DCP Intelligence and Investigations Kurt Simon said the strategies to treat with crime are all in the short, medium and long term.
It only goes well with what the Commissioner has described to me as how she sees the police service being able to respond. She sees the service as being a service that is professional, a service that is agile. Agile meaning that we can anticipate and put together strategies in place for future, but a service that is also adaptable.
The JSC on National Security was initially carded to conduct an inquiry into the anti-crime strategies implemented by the TTPS with the Commissioner of Police, Earl Christopher, but she was unable to attend due to issues that are urgent and critical to national security. Members of the JSC expressed disappointment by the absence of the Commissioner. The JSC will next meet with the TTPS on February 27, 2023. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TTT News.
A Jamaican was sentenced to 20 years on a charge of manslaughter for the death of his wife. More in this HGP regional news item.
Jamaica-born U.S. Air Force Major Andre McDonald was today sentenced to the maximum of 20 years in prison for manslaughter in the February 2019 death of his wife, Andreen McDonald. Andreen was 29 years old at the time she was brutally killed. The sentence was handed down by San Antonio District Court Judge Frank Castro in Bexar County Courtroom in Texas in the United States. The prosecution had asked the judge to sentence McDonald, who is the son of Portland businessman Everton McDonald, to the maximum 20 years. His father, 67, is presently awaiting trial in Jamaica for the murder of his 2 wives. The younger McDonald was convicted last Friday of the killing of his wife and later mutilating her body. After beating her to death, he set fire to her body. He later used a claw hammer to inflict blows to the corpse. McDonald was credited with just over 2 years already served and will be eligible for parole after serving another 8 years. Following a 2-week trial, a Bexar County jury on Friday shocked trial watchers in finding McDonald not guilty on 1 count of murder in his wife's death. However, he was found guilty on the lesser charge of manslaughter.
Jamaica's opposition is again calling for transparency in the massive fraud investigation taking place at Stocks and Securities Limited SSL. Nika Lewis of CVM Live reports.
Investigations are ongoing into the unprecedented fraud uncovered at private firm Stocks and Securities Limited SSL. The fraud, which spanned over a decade, has attracted the minds of local and international investigators, to include the Federal Bureau of Investigation's FBI. However, the opposition is concerned the level of transparency into the findings so far is not enough.
We are repeating our call for a full and complete disclosure of what the FSC did, from not just the reports that would have gone to ministries, but the recommendations of the FSC staff that would have gone to the board. We also want those board minutes.
The incident has attracted many eyes locally and abroad, as among the 40 fleeced of millions in local and foreign currency was track legend Usain Bolt, who invested using a limited liability company named after his parents. Welgen was reportedly fleeced of over $2 billion.
We know the FBI is here. There are other external agencies working with law enforcement. The update should be coming from law enforcement. If it's not MOCA, it should be FID. To just update the public. We understand that there are sensitive parts of the negotiation, of the investigation, which cannot be revealed. But people want to know, and people have a right to know, that it is being done in a transparent manner. And so I'm again calling for that, a weekly update from law enforcement.
And while the opposition member is not echoing calls for his counterpart's resignation, he notes concerns to include the need for greater communication about the probe.
He said he was not aware of the document. He basically said there was no handover when he took over from his predecessor. That's something that concerns me. But from where we are right now, the only way to deal with the issue is to have that transparency, to fully disclose all the documents from the FSC so that the public can see and the public can make its own determination.
So far, only one person has sought to accept culpability for the missing funds. However, no charges have yet been laid against her. Nika Lewis, CVM Live.
In the meantime, Nika Lewis tells us a former ambassador to the United Nations and attorney based in the US is contending with the FBI's involvement in the Stocks and Securities Limited SSL fraud probe. Any sign of money laundering linking the missing funds to any American bank will bring widespread penalties for the culprits.
The diaspora is watching the SSL fraud probe closely, among them former UN Ambassador Curtis Ward, who now resides in the US. Ward contends that should the FBI detect any trace of money laundering to financial institutions in the US with the monies fleeced from 40 SSL customers, it could lead to severe penalties for all parties implicated.
If there are links between the fraud and the American banking system, regardless of how far Jamaica wants the FBI to go, that will be immaterial. And the FBI will be coming here, not just to investigate the fraud here, but to investigate any contamination of the American banking system.
He notes that the FBI's involvement will mean a more forensic and thorough look at all the systems that failed and could expand beyond Jamaica's shores.
What you will find is that they are going to come in with far more sophisticated expertise than what is available locally. And nothing is wrong with that. But we must understand that if they come in, they have a reputation to uphold. And they're not going to come in and just sit by. And then at the end of the day, when a report is written, there is nothing conclusory. And that is not going to be acceptable to the FBI.
Meantime, he explains there are other arms of the U.S. justice system that could likely be drawn into the probe depending on what exactly is uncovered.
FinCEN would look to prosecute individuals because U.S. law could then be applied to them because they're using U.S. financial institutions. But another issue that will arise, apart from mere prosecution, is that FinCEN could look to punish American banks for having accepted on deposit ill-gotten gains from money from an illegal source.
Nika Lewis, CVM Live.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Chairman of the Bank of the Bahamas, Donna Hardin-Lee, and Prime Minister Philip Davis spoke at the latest branch opening This ZNS News item has more.
Well, since 1988, Bank of the Bahamas has been a leader in the local banking industry, and its 12th branch opening on John F. Kennedy Drive is a testament to just that. The bank's chairman, Donna Harding Lee, says they're encouraged by recent positive developments in the country's economy and the banking sector across the board.
The bank has seen an upswing in business, be it account openings, mortgages, loans, credit cards, or other services that the bank offers. Bank of the Bahamas will celebrate 35 years of existence this October, and we are proud to be in business. Yes, there have been challenges and continue to be challenges, but that makes us more determined to succeed.
Well, in his remarks, Prime Minister the Honourable Philip Davis reminisced on his life growing up in Cat Island and how the bank has assisted not only his family.
As a boy growing up in Old Bight, Cat Island, I know firsthand what it feels like to be estranged from the economic architecture of the nation. Bank of the Bahamas has long recognized the need to serve the widest cross-section of our nation possible. A fact evidenced by the establishing a Cat Island branch in 2008. A fact further evidenced by its presence in Bimini, Grand Bahama, Eleuthera, Inagua, and San Salvador. Yes, I am proud to say that the Bank of the Bahamas has taken a leadership role in addressing the need for greater access to quality financial services in our family of islands.
And still in the Bahamas, Minister of State Miles Laronda responds to study conducted by the Inter-American Development Bank on salaries at the National Insurance Board. Details in this ZNS News report.
Minister with responsibility for the National Insurance Board, the Honourable Miles LaRoda, is defending the average $64,000 income of NIB staffers. This after a recent IDB study called NIB's compensation structure bloated, citing that it appears high given the annual pay and benefits packages staff take home is $1,000 less than the Auditor General's, and their income is $10,000 higher than a leading high school head teacher. Now, the study says administrative costs are 19% of the agency's annual benefits expenditure, nearly 2 times that of Barbados' national insurance scheme, and 4 times higher than Trinidad and Tobago's, pegged at around 5%. LaRoda suggests the report highlighted a single department, likely representing the Public Managers Union.
That would make the most sense. The executives, of which there are 12, the average salary is around $90,000. And then you have the managers below that. There's 165 individuals in that category, and the average salary is around $58,000. The 460 plus non-management staff is around $32,000. And so for a staff complement of around just probably south of 650 staff members, it's around 39,000. You could round off to say 40,000, the average staff member's salary at the National Insurance Board.
The IDB study suggests previous generous industrial agreements have contributed to inflating the salaries and NIB's administrative cost. Considering the differences between the Bahamas and its Caribbean counterparts, Barbados and Trinidad, LaRoda says sometimes you just need to consider the layout of the countries.
Barbados is one landmass. Now imagine the Bahamas, of which we have 19 islands. Imagine having staff for National Insurance in Nassau, Grand Bahama, Abaco, Eleuthera, Inagua, Mayaguana. There's a lot of replications going on. And so you would need more staff members because you need somebody to be in charge of the office. And so it's easy to just go and pluck out and not comparing apples to apples and just comparing apples and oranges. The Bahamas is a unique place. We are an archipelago. And so we have to, the numbers in terms of management or supervisors will be higher because we have staff in each one of our islands that provides a service to that community.
Hubbard's is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at HubbardsHardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.